This episode of Hidden in the Shadows is sponsored by the new podcast, Scary Time.
Welcome to the podcast. We talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac.
And this is Megan.
And today we're talking about shadow figures.
Shadow figures.
But before that, how was everybody's Halloween?
Halloween.
No, we did
We had a pretty fun Halloween. It wasn't 100%, but it was pretty fun.
It's fucking cold, man.
Yeah, it was really cold.
Well,
really cold.
Colder than usual.
Yeah.
Well, for us here on the East Coast anyway.
Oh, yeah. Like it was
Some people are like, it was snowing where I was.
Yeah, it was really cold for Halloween. Well, no, because that's what I don't understand. Like, over here, it used to be, like, way colder. I don't know why every Halloween, like, when I was a kid, I remember having to wear, like, a sweater or something or a jacket over or under the Halloween costume. And, like, the last couple of years, we haven't had to do that. But this Halloween, I was, like, nostalgia cold.
Yeah. But if you're wondering if anything spooky happens, not really. Until the night ended.
Ew, he had that weird.
Yeah. So me and you, we're expecting something to happen.
Yeah.
But nothing really until the evening. Now, we were outside. Oh, I was outside barbecuing majority of the time. I was sitting there by myself. Majority of the time. Yeah. It was too cold for Killian, and you were inside tending to him. And I was just out there slow cooking the burgers because the propane
was close to empty. Yeah.
By the way, yeah, always check. I don't know. I could really get someone to check the propane tank. Anyway, so I didn't hear anything while I was out there.
Yeah.
Right? So I bring the burgers in, we eat, we're done. And I remember, like, oh crap, I left those, the pumpkins, the inflatable things on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go out to the backyard. And all we got is for a light back there. Well, it was the pumpkins, but I turned those off, and they're like deflating. And it's the back light. That's it. One single light bulb. And I unplugged it. I saw them deflating, so I was like, okay. So I started walking towards the door, and I hear, Mom? Loud enough for me to think there was a kid in the backyard.
And a little disclaimer, like, the surrounding neighbors don't have kids.
No.
There's no kids on either side of because
our neighbor to the right of us is a retiree.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, what, 70s?
And then we have, like, then next door is, like, their grandparents, but they live by themselves. Yeah, they don't have any kids at the house. And then there's a military couple behind us because it's a huge backyard. So we actually have two half of houses behind us where like our fence borders another person's fence. And they don't have any kids. And then to the right, they don't have any kids either behind us. So there's really no reason for a kid anywhere around the backyard area.
Now continuing.
Yes. I just want to put that out there because someone could be like, well, it could be neighbor's kid.
Well, let me get to that afterwards.
Okay.
All right. That made me think there was a kid back there because it was clear enough for me to think and loud enough that there was a kid back there, right? But it was 1:00 in the morning. Who the hell would he still be trick-or-treating at the time? Granted, I know a lot of people were trick-or-treating to begin with, right? Because COVID and all that. So me thinking, who the hell would be at this late? So I went, hello? Nothing. I was thinking to myself, could have been a cat, could have been an animal or something. I never heard an animal make that noise before, or even sound like a kid, but it probably could be a cat or a bird or something. I don't know.
I could see more like a cat, like especially
with
cats in heat or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. Meow. Mom.
But it sounded like a kid. Anyway, so I keep walking to the door, then I hear it again.
Ew.
Mom? Like, only said it twice.
Does it say mom or mama?
No, mom.
Okay.
And it ever only said it twice. So total 4 times. Right?
You know what's creepy about that whole story is it makes me think of, you know, like how the Wendigo or whatever. I'm not saying we have a Wendigo in the backyard.
I'm not finished.
No, wait. But I'm putting this disclaimer in because, not disclaimer, but this
what the hell would a Wendigo be this far out here?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
In the city, anyway.
Who the heck knows, you know? I don't know. But no, the reason why, or isn't there another thing that can kind of mimic voices?
Doppelganger, I think. No, it's more imagery than anything.
Because the creepiest part is recently our son, because like I've said on here before, he has a speech delay. So he doesn't say a lot of words.
Oh, this didn't sound like Killian.
It didn't sound like Killian?
No, it sounded like a kid.
Like older kid?
I would 6, 7 maybe.
No, the reason why I say that is because he just started saying mom. And it's kind of weird that out of all the words, they chose to say those 2 words.
I would recognize Killian's voice anywhere. But this was just like, Mom? Mom? Like,
ew.
Like it was...
Black-eyed kids.
I say it.
Black-eyed kids.
Now that was my thought.
Oh my God.
On the second one. I was like, fuck, if this fucking black-eyed kid comes out of the fucking darkness at me...
Oh my God, I would shit my pants.
But it sounded like he was like questioning, like, Mom? Mom?
Is that you?
Yeah, that's what I was expecting to hear. But all I heard was a mom, mom. And I kept looking in the darkness. I kept looking in the darkness like, who the fuck is out here? Thinking maybe someone's out here messing with me. But you didn't
think about asking who the hell is out here?
No, Megan. In our goddamn world, no.
I would get like really close to the door and then ask like, who the hell are you?
No. In our world, 90% of the time, I'm going to think it's a ghost first.
Can you let us in?
Yeah. Or something else. But no, I didn't see anything in the dark. I didn't see anybody standing out there. No one was out there but me. And I was like, oh, shit. I went back inside.
Yeah. Because it's kind of creepy in our backyard at night because it's very big. And there's like a whole bunch of trees. Like I said in the Fairy Folk episode, it's a suburban forest.
Did I go to the gym that night? No, I didn't.
That's kind of interesting. I always get I even as a kid, I never liked the backyard at night. Funny enough, like you couldn't pay me to go in the backyard at night. Didn't you say the other day you thought you saw like a 9-foot figure too?
Oh, yeah.
Shadow figure thing?
That's when I was coming back. No, I was going to the gym. I turned the headlights on and they flashed down there and I thought I saw like a giant 8-foot like person or something standing there. But like, oh crap, it was just a reflection on the building. But it looked like for a second.
But didn't I say there was something that occurred too that like wasn't coincidence with that?
What are you talking about?
Like the same night that you told me that happened, there was something that I paid attention to in the backyard at night for some reason. There was I don't know what it was. I can't remember what it was. But there was some weird thing that occurred in the backyard that I was like, that's kind of weird that you said that because this happened. But I can't remember what it was. Weird. I don't know. I can't remember.
But yeah, that was our only real creepy Halloween thing that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creepy. So.
On today's subject.
Yeah, on today's subject, which is shadow figures or people, if you want to call them people.
And infamous hat men.
Yeah, there's some speculation between like what they are. And actually, funny enough, I have quite a few stories about shadow figures because when I was a kid, I saw them all the time. I saw the infamous Hat Man. My mom saw the infamous Hat Man. And my grandmother actually saw something so terrifying, kind of like a shadow figure. She says it was like a solid figure, but she said it was in all black. And she actually had to get the house blessed, same house we live in, by a priest back in the 80s from that.
Wasn't it a death figure?
Yeah, like she said, it was going from the podcast room that we podcast in to the room straight across, which at the time is her bedroom. And she said the hallway is creepy. I gotta take a picture of the hallway so you guys can see it. I think I've posted before a picture of the hallway. But it's a long hallway and you got like 3 bedrooms, one of them being the podcast room, a bathroom, the attic is in the hallway, and then there's also a linen closet. And that's where my brother says that one little girl ghost that I talk about all the time, the colonial one. Mm-hmm. That's where she apparently lives or stays or chills out in that closet apparently. Which is kind of spooky Because remember Killian as a kid used to hide in that closet?
Yeah.
Freak me the F out. When he would just go in there. Anyways, but she said it literally looked like a Grim Reaper from walking. Like he didn't have like an icicle or anything like that. Sickle. I mean.
Not icicle.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Or
Sickle. Icy. I didn't say it. Oh 7-Eleven.
Was that good choice?
Oh my gosh. No, but she said it was like a black, long, like, not dress, but like cloak thing with like a hood. And she said as soon as she saw that, like her exact words was, when I saw that bastard, I got the priest. I think it's funny she called it that. Mm. But yeah, so she had that. I asked her if she saw any kind of shadow things, and she said no. Normally things that she sees is like solid, and she said she wouldn't even call that thing a shadow. It was more of a solid figure. But it had no face. And she just saw it like just cruising on, walking from one room to another. And that's when she got the priest here, and the priest did like a blessing. And he tried blaming it on the fact that my mom like listens to metal music, because it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Typical thing, for people to say. But
I've never really seen like a solid shadow figure. They're always the ones that run real fast past you.
Yeah, I see those a lot. Like when I was a kid,
peripheral vision.
Literally I really sat down and I even like wrote like what I saw, what I would feel, what I would, whatever. So I had to be super young. Like it's kind of like almost where I can't hardly remember, but certain memories kind of stuck in my head. And I saw a lot of spirits when I was a kid, like a lot. And we lived in a trailer in the Heward area, which is, I mean, if anybody local is listening, it's, they know it's like going towards the beach part of like this area. And, we lived in a trailer on a random plot of land. And I had my own room, and I can see the room. Like I can almost like draw out the room. And when I was a kid, a lot of the times I would see shadow things, like zoom by or whatever. But I started having, I was absolutely, like I've said it before, I was absolutely terrified of The Sixth Sense because of what I feel like I could relate to what the boy was seeing, like the, dead people, obviously. And one night I was laying in bed. It was a twin bed. I had like my Barbie house on one side. There was a closet in the room. But my bed was it was a very, very small room, like super petite room, not very like, didn't have a lot of width to it, very small. And I remember laying in bed, and I would feel this girl nudge my arm. And I would wake up, and it would be this girl, and she would sit on the edge of my bed, and she would just start like talking to me, explaining to me like how she died. She never gave me her name, but she was like kind of giving me details of who she was. And the best way I could describe her is she looked like she had 1970s clothes on. Almost like a mushroom haircut. Like she kind of looked like a boy. And then she had like the typical like 1970s like glasses, like kind of nerdy glasses. She had to be like, I want to say like, 5th grade maybe, or like early middle school, like 5th or 6th grade. And she would just, like I said, she would just sit and talk to me about like who she was, what happened to her. She always told me that she died because this is what she told me, and this is what I remember, and I have no clue if it's like what it comes from, but this is when I was a kid, and I've always said this, I've told this story about this girl. And she's told me she basically got beat to death by one of the lunch ladies in the school cafeteria because there was a reason, and I'm not 100% sure of the reason, but that's what she would tell me, that literally the the cafeteria lady lost it on her and like beat her to death, right? And so every time this girl would come, this shadow guy would come too. But he would just stand and watch. And he was always by the closet. And like, as she was telling me, she would sit on the bed and she would tell me what's going on and all this stuff. And she still had like, the ghost had the same injuries that she had, right? Like her head was missing on the back. And that shadow guy would always stand at the closet leaning his back against the closet, like kind of like at a weird, like just chilling kind of angle. And his hands like kind of on his like pocket, because it looked like he was wearing a cloak jacket, like a trench coat and a brim hat, like what you see. Mm-hmm. And he would just stare. And sometimes he would come without her, but he would just stare. And I would scream and run into my mom's room and consistently tell her there's a man in my room. And, like, it got to the point where, like, even my mom would sometimes sleep with me because she didn't know, okay, she keeps saying that there's a man in the room. And they would kind of pass it off as, like, maybe I was taking, like, images from, like, a scary movie and whatever. But she said the details were so defined of what the girl was saying to me and what the man looked like. And then my mom also remembered because my mom has abilities, too. What?
I thought I saw, like a...
Ew. Anyways.
A hand on the table.
Okay, that's nice. Oh my god. Okay, so,
Not to break your friend. Yeah, just, that happened right now. That was fucking weird.
Okay, well.
It looked like a hand reached from underneath the table that have our microphones on. Just a couple fingers.
Ew, okay. Okay, we're just going to continue now.
All right.
But yeah, and I want to say, like, I'm trying to think back to what I would feel. Obviously, I had to feel some kind of freaked out because I would run.
I was making sure nothing was there.
Oh. I would run into my mom's room, like, hey, there's a man. So obviously it had to bother me some. But all I can, like, my specific thing is that he would just stare and there's no face. So you can't, I mean, it's the outline of a person. And some of the pictures that were sent into us from that experiment that we did, like, we're doing where, like, I told people, send in the shadow figures that you've seen and we can kind of, like, I'll collage it together and see what comes out. Like,
yeah.
And a lot of people got the same kind of, he just, like, looked like a normal person. He was a little bit taller than the average person. But, like, I've seen some shadow figures, like, on the internet and stuff like that have, like, the long, it looks like claws, but it's not claws. It's, like, long fingers. He didn't have that. And it always looked like he was leaning with, like, his, like, foot up against the, like, just, like chilling is the best way to put it. And he would just stand there. And then I can't recall when I stopped seeing him. But I have had, like, when I was pregnant with Killian, I remember waking up one night because I had really bad insomnia and it was always like 3:00. I would wake up all the time. And, sometimes mainly to pee, but I would always wake up. And I remember one day I woke up and sometimes, and this is a scary thing and it's happening recently too. It like goes on and off throughout the years, but I'll wake up in the middle of the night and like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I'm talking to somebody mentally, if that makes any sense. And they're just there. And like, there's something in the room and it's trying to communicate, but like, I'm still kind of asleep. It's like, it's super weird. It's not astral projection. Kind of, I guess not. It's very weird. Anyways, so I remember I was totally conscious, but I was still laying down and it was like, I was kind of like in a trance almost. And something told me to sit up and I sat up and I actually like sat up in my actual body. It wasn't like astral projection or anything. And I saw like the shadow outline of people standing all around our bed. Like it was on the side, in the front, on the side. And I saw that a lot as a kid, too. So, when it comes to shadow figures, yeah, I've seen quite a bit.
Now, most people, but what ancient people believe shadow figures were called shades, which were from the underworld.
Yeah.
Now, shadow figures and shadow people didn't. They've been around for ever, but starting to get popularized until the Coast to Coast guy?
Yeah,
popularized them in 2001.
Yeah, in 2001. We kind of mimicked his little test experiment thing. They actually had people have drawings sent in, and they basically analyzed what people were seeing. They looked at, these shadow figures, and that's how they kind of noticed, oh, okay, a lot of people are seeing these, the Hat Man and stuff like that. That's how that kind of got popularized.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. 19 years, and we've been talking about them. But
yeah.
I remember I read recently somewhere that there's two different kinds of shadow people. There's the short ones, and those are the ones you don't have to worry about because they're just, I guess they're just there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But the tall ones, those are the ones you have to worry about because mostly those are somewhat demonic. Now,
see. And the crazy thing is, when I kind of read up on people's encounters, because I probably read thousands, I'm not even exaggerating, thousands of stories about shadow people. It's always it's very neutral. They're just kind of watching there's no mean feelings. But then there's also ones that it's complete hatred and darkness and stuff like that, which is crazy. I cannot tell you if it's what I saw, that Hat Man guy, if it was dark or not.
Well, we're going to get on him later.
Yeah.
But I have a couple theories when it comes to shadow people. And it actually involves my brother.
Yeah.
Gabe saw one. But Gabe only saw one when he was in sleep. I keep getting that word wrong.
Paralysis?
Sleep paralysis. I keep saying when I say paralysis, but that doesn't make any sense. Sleep paralysis. It only happened to him with sleep paralysis, which, again, happens to a lot of people with seeing shadow figures. Now, he saw a death, as he calls it, it was almost like a Harry Potter. So what I'm looking for.
Starts with a D, right?
Dementors? Yeah. He saw something that looked like a Dementor floating above his bed, right? And he could see me playing video games right next to him while he was sleeping. He tried to scream for me, but he couldn't.
Weird.
Right? So, but that's not the only case you ever heard. A lot of people, when they talk about sleep paralysis, they all talk about seeing shadow figures or dark figures standing in the corners of the room or close to them.
Yeah.
And it's always people that are in there. Now, I have my own theory on sleep paralysis when it comes to people who have had multiple episodes. Now, some people never experience it in their life. Some people 1 to twice their entire life. Some people multiple times. I think the people that are multiple times have the potential to astral project. And those dark figures are standing and waiting and watching for you to leave your body so they can take it. Now, when it comes to shadow figures that you might see around, right, most of them run fast. A blink of an eye, you can miss it, right? It's like a vroom, right? I remember Ghost Adventures caught a couple clearly. You see just like a black shadow run by quick. What, you chill for?
Chill, yeah.
Excuse me. Ugh. Oh, I just sneezed.
Lord, you probably blew someone's eardrum out.
That's why I did it.
He's a loud sneezer.
I'm a dad. It happens.
God, this
He's
man.
almost when you become a dad, all of a sudden your sneezing volume
sounds
goes
like
up
he's
to
pulling the
10.
earth from the bottom of his feet out through his freaking nose.
Anyway, what was I saying? That's what shadow people. So when it comes to sleep paralysis.
Literally, the sneeze rattled your brain.
Yeah. Because of sleep paralysis when people see shadow figures. Now, like I said, most of them run by fast, by quick, right? You see them in the corner of your eye, peripheral vision, vroom. What the hell? Yeah.
Yeah.
So most people don't have much dangerous encounters with them. But the most famous shadow figure of them all, or shadow person, is the Hat Man.
Yeah. Which he is super creepy. I mean,
I say famous because multiple people have seen him. In one formation or the other, he always wears the same thing. A long black jacket and a hat. So usually it's a top hat or a wide brim hat.
Yeah.
It's always a hat.
Or kind of like almost like a fedora. I've seen people describe it as like a fedora too. Which I want to say, like, for whatever reason, the shadow figure I saw kind of flip-flop between that. Like, had the brim hat on certain times and then had the fedora later on. Which is weird because it makes me think, well, are there two people? You know? Two shadow figures? But yeah, it's always chilling by my closet, or was always chilling by my closet, or by the bed. And that's what everyone has said, is that it's the bed, the closet, or they see it kind of like zoom down the hallway. Mm. So I heard a couple stories about like the figure of a woman. I've never seen that. I've never seen a shadow figure. I've seen a shadow figure in the shape of a child before, but I've never, when they were standing around the bed, it was like shadow people. I don't know how to describe it.
Now, I just thought something when you were talking about that. Could they be just let me get this phrase right. Could the shadow people you saw around the bed, could that be an interpretation of the other world, and that's how you see it?
I don't know.
Could those actual spirits be actual people, but because of the circumstance, for whatever reason, you see them as shadows?
I don't know.
Then that leads to another question. Are all shadow people just regular spirits that we can see, but, and again, for some reason or the other, they appear to us as shadows?
I don't know.
Or is it the shade of the person that was before? I'm sorry, we're having an epiphany.
I don't know. I know that was really... I'm trying to think. There's another... I don't know if it was a dream or a vision, because I get a lot of stuff, like, kind of like that time, like, between going to sleep and awake. I kind of, like, get in, like, a weird, like, spot. Or, like, sometimes visions or even, I don't know what that word, premonition? No. Premonition, yes. Don't ask me. I don't know what I all of a sudden I got tired, and so, like, my brain is fuzzy. I wish I could show the audience my brain, and like when I get a vision or when I get something that I could show you what it's like. It's basically like I'm in a white room in my brain, and like sometimes there'll be flashes of stuff that comes through. And I remember the only other time like I had a vision of shadow people was there was one time where I was in between awake, and I got like this thing where I was in a white room, which a lot of stuff comes through when I'm in this, like, a white room for some reason. It's like it's a perfect square. It's a white room. And like, sometimes it looks like a TV screen is on one side of the wall, but it's like giving me visions of some sort, or pictures or objects. It's very weird. But I was in this room, and it almost looks like I was thrown down to the floor. And I was like kind of like on my side, leaning upwards. And there was like bright light everywhere. And I couldn't fully see, like, it was like my vision was weird. And I could see like a circle of people, like kind of like how it was around my bed, right? A circle of people around me. Like, to the point where I was in the middle of the circle, but their backs were faced towards me, and their, like, front was faced outwards. And on the other side of them was a bunch of shadow, like, dark mist, like, weird people on the other side, and there was hissing, growling, and everything else. But those people, I couldn't really tell, like, who they were, why they were even there. So, that's the only time I ever, like, visioned like shadow people, I guess. I don't know. It makes me sound like crazy when I tell it.
Not necessarily.
But I don't know if that was like maybe a sign. Oh, no. There was another time. And I think I may have told this on one of our ghost stories, and I think I told this on Ghosty Girls too. The bonus episode that I was on. Mm. There is a dream that I have, and I have it like different times throughout my like teenhood and adulthood. But I'm in this swamp area, right? It's like super swampy, and there's these huts. And I'm on this canoe boat. There's a guy in front who looks like the Hat Man, right? All shadow. There's no like physical body there. There's just a hat, what looks like the Hat Man. He doesn't ever face me, but he's like, there's a lantern on a post at the front of the boat, and it's like a canoe, and we're going down this like waterway, and there's huts, right? At each random things. And he stops. He doesn't tell me anything, but basically directs me to go into these huts, right? And in these huts are Polaroid pictures of different people. Some of them are I've never seen these people in my entire life. So the concept that they say about dreams, about like, you can't dream of someone that you've never seen. And if you've never seen that person in real life or can't recall seeing them in real life, then you've seen them as a ghost kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever heard that theory, but there's just a bunch of Polaroid pictures, and they're like attached to the wall, and I go in and I kind of look around and I look at the pictures, and then I come out and it's the next one. And then like there's a point where sometimes I'll get in the boat and we'll like drift off and I wake up, or I'll like there'll be something that wakes me up, like a picture that like freaks me out, and I end up waking up in real life. But that is like a dream that I've had throughout my entire life. And it's that too. I think it was Jess that told me like I should really be writing these things down, especially with that dream, because I could, pull details from the pictures and see why I have that dream of the pictures. But I always have that dream, and that's the only, that and that white room dream is the only dream I ever had where like I actually saw shadow people in my dreams. Not dreams, visions, whatever you want to call it.
I guess what time it is.
Huh?
Ad time.
Oh my gosh. We are promoting a brand new podcast called Scary Time. This podcast brings you new creators every week while bringing you the scariest stories and conversations ever heard. Every week, an independent creator tells us about the paranormal, ghosts, monsters, hauntings, creepy places, enchanted objects, aliens, and more. And if one of the creators sparks your spooky interest, feel free to follow them on their podcast content page. I mean, if you dare. Listening to Scary Time lets you try out new creators, binge listen to all their shows until you find the one you love. Make sure to check out Scary Time on all major platforms and follow on social media. All social media links will be linked in our episode description as well as on our Instagram account. Tired of the same old scary stories by commercial creators? Give indie creators a try with Scary Time.
Yeah, that's a weird dream. I can't. On my time of sleep paralysis, stuff like that, I never saw shadow figures. Now, the one time that I did astral project, people know that story. Again, he was clear, translucent, right? Which, funny enough, listening to another podcast, The Belief Hole.
Oh yeah,
if you guys ever heard of them? Check them out. They know how to wear a tinfoil hat and not sound crazy. Let's say that. But no, they were talking about this new phenomenon, the invisible man or the translucent man, the shimmer man, right?
Ew.
That kind of looks like the Predator figure, as people described it.
Oh wow!
How the Predator looked in the movie, how he looked, you can see the outline of him, but you can see directly through him. And if you're not paying attention, he's basically invisible.
Yeah,
that's how kind of the guy looked like that I choked out.
Really?
But I was in astral projection form, so I assumed it was a spirit. Weird.
Wow. Yeah. Weird. I wish I could get someone like I could actually talk to that was really good at like being in like art and like have them paint that dream or draw that dream and see if it resonates with anybody. If like anyone has any clue what the heck this means. Because that dream is so significant. Like there's a couple of dreams and I don't remember, like I used to as a kid remember every single night what I dreamt. But like as an adult, I don't remember so much. I remembered a lot when I was pregnant. It's funny because it was like all my senses were heightened when I was pregnant. And even though I wouldn't sleep very good, I would have vivid ass dreams. And I want to say, I think that's the last time I had that dream was when I was pregnant, like right before I gave birth. I don't know.
Now, on the Hat Man phenomenon, going back to that, he's the only shadow figure so far, well, this more popular one, that actually has form to him. Most people, when they see shadow figures, they see a outline of a person that's all shadow, all black.
Yeah.
Now, so they see the hat, they see the jacket, so they recognize him as the Hat Man. Funny enough, isn't that like a documentary coming out?
Yeah, there's
documentary / film.
There was a documentary. I don't think it's like by a huge company. I think it was like more like an indie film. I'll post about it on our page, but I think it's on Amazon Prime. And we were supposed to have one of the guys from the movie actually come on the podcast, but something happened and we weren't able to do it. And but I mean, it looked really good. I remember seeing the trailer like when he first reached out, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah,
because it's basically the way the trailer is. It's like it talks about like encounter stories, and it was really intense. I was like, "Holy shit, that is the guy that I saw." And I remember showing my mom the thing, and she was like, "Holy shit, that is what I saw."
Yeah,
and they would like describe in the trailer too. They describe like what they saw, somewhat. Kind of give you a little teaser. And
now, I was trying to think to myself. The only shadow figure that I ever saw was the girl in the black dress.
Ew.
Now, I wouldn't say her as a figure in a sense of every inch of her skin, her nails, her hair. I couldn't see really much of her face because I didn't see her face, but her dress, right? I could see the distinctive detail of her dress, from the lace to the like doily style design of it, the very old Victorian look, right? But it was all black. Everything was black, like black, right? Like oil black, right? And that's I saw her like for a second over my eye, and I kept hearing someone say, "Get up, get up." And this was us sleeping in the bed. This is in Texas on the ranch.
Yeah, I think you've told us.
Yeah. But I was staring at my nightstand. I could hear "get up" and then "get up," right, real low,
which makes
and then
me think,
boom, like a fist slammed on the table, my nightstand, right, and that's when I basically my eyes opened for the split second, and I saw that black dress, black girl, black hair, all that. But she was little, like a little girl, like probably like 7 or 8, and when I woke up, I looked out, I could see my cup on my table like moving, like the table just was vibrating.
Yeah. Which makes me think maybe they are demonic, or at least dark entities, because, and I have this theory, and I kind of talked about it on Ghosty Girls, the bonus episode, because we talked a little bit about this. And I have a theory that every sense, especially ones that have like even the potential to like be very in tune with their gifts if they, like work on it and stuff like that. I feel like they specifically have something that watches them, because looking for the right opportunity, right?
You talking about sensitives?
Yeah. Sensitive, psychics, mediums, is always kind of like that dark figure that watches from afar. That's what I think. But I mean,
that was a theory that I was working on, because if you have them and then some other people have talked about having it, then there's a dark figure, a dark watcher, maybe sent by...
Yeah, I would call it that, a dark watcher.
Yeah, sent by the devil to watch, because if these powerful psychics are out there, they can be used...
for good or for evil, kind of thing. Yeah. And like, depending too on a psychic or a medium or even a sensitive, if they start using their abilities to help people, like people that are possessed or people that have dark entities or whatever, aren't you going to send someone to kind of like watch and see what the hell's going on, like an investigator? Something just messed with my headphone.
What are you talking about?
Something just moved my headphone.
Like pulled it backwards?
Yeah, like tapped it.
Like tapped it or pulled it?
Like. Oh. I literally felt that.
I didn't see anything.
Weird, of course.
I'm staring at you. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that was.
Somebody's here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god, the hand. I'm serious. We're gonna...
Once we got video, you guys can see what I'm doing.
Yeah. Which is something we might be looking into for 2021, by the way. Is an actual like video that would be uploaded to YouTube in unison with our weekly episodes.
Well, the episode that you hear would also be... You can watch or listen to, depending on how you want to.
Yeah.
I don't feel anything.
I don't know. There's something, because I've already felt like my back being touched as I'm talking. Like I scratched my back just a couple minutes ago, and then I felt like something pressing my back.
Who it is? The guy out here quick the second I started doing the Jedi.
Oh my gosh. No, like sometimes that happens during the podcast. Like I feel something touch my back, but just recently, like when I was talking, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be an EVP right around when I talk about the hut. Every single time I talk about the hut, there is something. Like it doesn't want me sharing my information. I don't know. But
I think I remember, because when I was looking up the costume for the Hat Man, right?
Yeah.
The hat.
Yeah, because this freak over here wanted to be the stinking Hat Man. I was like, great, you're gonna.
What?
Weird.
The hair.
It's a hair, but it didn't feel like a hair at first.
Yeah. No, I was looking for a costume for the Hat Man, or I was looking for the proper hat. You know the hat that looked the most, I guess, would fit? Plague Doctor hat.
Really?
Yeah. It got me thinking. What if all these dark figures, the Hat Man, are plague doctors from the age of the plague? Then why? It's a better question to ask. Well, why then? Why? They're doctors. But then again, that would make sense to your hut dream, because plague doctors would be on long boats with a lantern in front, taking victims to Pravia or Plague Island in Italy, or...
The fuck is that? What is that?
Someone tapping on the window. Oh, fireworks.
Oh, fireworks. Holy crap. I thought
With the headphones on, it did sound like someone knocking on the glass.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, I took the headphone off for a second. I could see it, hear it. Yeah, they're fireworks.
Oh my god.
Well, who the hell's doing fireworks at this hour of the night? Anyway.
Oh my god. Those weird people down the street. They do fireworks
Where
for
did
anything.
Get them from?
It's like Random Tuesday. Boom,
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Benefit
god,
of doubt. It did sound like someone knocking on the glass.
I'm leaving that in there because...
It did sound like knocking on glass with the headphones on. But I had to take the headphone off and they're fireworks.
And you were just talking about the hut dream. I was like...
dunk, 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 dunk,
oh my
dunk,
god,
dunk.
they're here for me.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
Before I talked about fireworks. Anyway.
That was horrible. Oh my god. I've literally
my
stomach fell off in my butt.
Anyone would have heard it with these headphones on, you would think just someone tapping on the glass. Took it off. Oh, okay, they're fireworks. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, no, that's exactly what plague doctors did. They took the sick people to islands, right? Or places away to their death. And that's the last thing they would see is a guy with a hat with the plague doctor mask. But you saw a shadow figure, but the hat. Same imagery, minus the mask.
Yeah, I didn't have I know it never turns around. It just like it is at the front of the boat. It paddles its way. It almost looks like, like I forgot what they're called and I'm Italian and it's the Italian boats.
So it's a G.
Gondolas.
Something like that.
Is that it?
Gondolas.
Gondolas, yeah.
Gondolas.
I know what I'm Italian and that sucks that I don't know. Anyways, so kind of like that, but like mixed with a canoe. And it's like these really narrow waterways and it's like really swampy and it's dark and it's like you can even see like afar. Like sometimes I look over to the left and I can see like which would this dream would honestly terrify me in real life, but like an alligator kind of like just sitting over there. Like it's very, very swampy. And like I'm trying to think like when I look like because I have a bad thing with the dreams, so I can't remember sometimes certain parts. But I remember I go in and, I can literally hear it's just like basic wood that these shack things are made out of. They have no door, by the way. They're just little shacks with an open door. It almost looks like 2 doors could fit in the open door space. And I walk in, there's nothing, like no extra rooms. It's one big room. I have a weird thing about apparently with one big room. Because like everything is in one room. Anyways. So it's a one big room, but all these and it's always Polaroids are like in clusters all over the wall. And
how a serial killer would put shit on the wall?
Kinda. Yeah. And I pull, and they're different people, and I would pull, and I remember one of them being like a blonde lady, but it was like in this time, it wasn't like an old timey photo. It was like of current times, and she was with her daughter in this picture. I don't know, but that's what I see. Like, I really wish, and it's like, I can see it now. I can hear the water. I can hear like the creak of stepping onto the hut. And he just takes me from hut to hut to hut. And I do the same motion. I go in. And like I said, the ending is sometimes different. Sometimes it's like I'm watching myself on the boat with him drift into darkness. And then there's another dream where like maybe something happens. Like I remember there was one time I heard a really bad laugh. Like it was like a deep laugh, like just a laugh. And it was so loud it woke me up. Kind of like the I Will Slay You dream that I tell on Ghosty Girls, the bonus episode, as well as like on My Ghost Story episodes. And I don't know what this is. Like I really wish I could get someone to like draw up a picture because I can't draw. It'll end up looking like something completely different.
I think I'm imagining exactly what you're describing, and it's a little bit like the Doll Island in Mexico. The waterways being narrow and stuff like that, and it has to travel on gondolas. But the hut thing, that's or shacks as you call them. Now I'm not a dream interpreter.
They kind of look like this, but a little bit different. It's
that
not
swamp shacks in Louisiana.
Is it?
Looks like it.
Yeah, it's actually an old wooden hut in the swamp area of Louisiana. No.
Out of money.
But it's more dark. Like it's not like you see how that's open.
Yeah.
This isn't open. It's very narrow waterways. Like it looks like an inlet. Like because over here we live near the ocean, so there's like inlets and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really weird though.
Did you have any stories?
Huh?
Did you have any stories?
Stories.
Shadow people stories?
No, not really. I mean, it's kind of the same thing where like all of the stories that I've read literally kind of talk about the Hat Man is he's standing at the end of my bed and he's looking at me, and some people get terrified, and then there's some people that don't, that get like a neutral feeling from him if just someone watching.
'Cause I have one.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway. No, it's a sleep paralysis / shadow man story.
Yeah.
And again, always sleep paralysis with the shadow people. Anyway, this woman, multiple sleep paralysis episodes she talks about. But she talks about the most scariest one that almost terrified her to death, essentially, was that it was during... She remember waking up and it was dusk, like not quite nighttime, but bright enough you can still see everything. And she saw a shadow figure stand at the foot of her bed, like she normally does, right? No more time she stares at him, he doesn't move. But this time, he grabbed her ankle.
What?
And started pulling her off the bed. Now, Mary, she can't move, right? And he pulled her down the hallway to where she was face down and couldn't see what was going on, right? Now, she later recounts thinking maybe her first thoughts at the time was just not a shadow person. Someone broke into my place. I'm experiencing sleep paralysis and someone's trying to rape me. That was her original thought. But the fact that the shadow figure picked her up again by her leg, threw her to the ceiling, and she stuck on the ceiling. And the shadow figure, like the shape of a man, moved underneath her and looked up at her.
Oh my God, freak that.
Right? And said, "You won't be able to run." And then she shook open and awoke in her bed. Right? Yeah.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. Well, no, like, I kind of like freaked myself out a couple, because I go down that rabbit hole of TikToks and like, it'll be like, I'll watch a couple cooking videos and then I'll go into Lores and Legends because I have like apparently a weird For You page that like jumps all over the place. And they've been sharing these really creepy, and I know they're not real, but like these, it looks like a security cam and there's like these creature things that come out from under the bed. It's like a really long shadow, like...
Oh, those aren't real.
Oh, yeah, I know they're not real. But the idea, like... And then you saying that story, that's terrifying.
I mean, like, that was a woman's sleep paralysis story.
Yeah. I mean, that's just... I don't like being messed with. Like... That, to me, is terrifying. Like, could you imagine being dragged by something? That always scared me, like... And like Paranormal Activity and stuff like that, when she would be dragged, like out of bed by whatever.
Now, little realism.
Yeah.
Scientific or several psychologists and psychologists, right? The shadowy shapes of seeming alive. Most people, again, connect to sleep paralysis. They say many methamphetamine or meth addicts see shadow figures as well. Then again, they can chalk that up to being high as a kite.
Yeah.
And also, another effect that happens with seeing shadow people is sleep deprivation. Now, it would make sense. Trying to put my phone in my pocket. It would make sense to people who, gamers, late night owls, and stuff like that, not sleep deprived, but do stay up later, in fact, that would see shadow people. Their mind is, not say fully asleep. I'm explaining this wrong. We start over. People who are sleep deprived usually work overnight, stuff like that. Like I used to and stuff like myself. Gamers and stuff like that, they always talk about seeing that in the peripheral vision. Now, they can chalk it up to the game they're playing, and then, of course, the imagery that you stare at forever how long carries over into what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Light, I forgot the phenomenon, what it's called. But scientists chalk it up as sleep deprivation can cause seeing shadow people. Now, it's not for everyone, right? Sleep paralysis happens to everyone randomly for whatever reason, right? Me, it happened the most when I worked overnight, right? Asleep, awake. I really messed up my schedule. What?
That's what it looks like. Minus the windows.
I thought something was on your screen.
No. Sorry, I was looking at the like huts and stuff to try and describe to somebody what I see. Like maybe one day I could kind of like find everything and like post it on Instagram for you guys to see the dream, because it's significant for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyways. Sorry, back to your story. I found a hut that looks like what I see.
All right. Now comes time. Let's say for the end. But we talked about what next week's episode is going to be on. And also one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Vampires.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the idea, could vampires be real? And then 2, any cases in the past.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah. About
I got a couple
vampires
that I know
could be real.
Yeah.
Which is kind of terrifying. Could you imagine a world with vampires?
Well, different stories I've heard everywhere from a immortal man who was at the Declaration of Independence.
Ooh.
Declaration of Independence was at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, to a creature from deep down in a cave that a hunter found. Believe me, it's either Edward Cullen or those things from 30 Days a Night.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, yeah, next week is going to be all about vampires.
Yeah.
Like always, guys, check out our social media at Hidden in the Shadows podcast on Instagram, or Hidden in the Shaw at Twitter.
Yes.
Hidden in the Shaw 6 at Twitter. Also, they gave us a shout out. I'm giving a shout out back. Believe in the Bazaars. The episode is all about me.
Yeah, his listeners.
And one of Charlie's friends.
Yes.
We also had a similar experience as well.
Yeah, and it's really good. I listened to it like at a listener's perspective, and it's really good. Plus, any of the other Believe in the Bizarre episodes. I think they have a vampire episode too. I think it's on. I forgot the lady's name, Mercy Brown.
Yes, we'll talk a little
Mercy
about her
Brown,
too.
Yeah, like they think she's a vampire type of thing.
Yeah, but you originally, if you listen to our episode that I had them on, the interview one, the beginning of October, I give my listener submission story to them about my slips into different realities, and then I get to hear their perspective on it on their show. So if you guys want to hear their perspective, how they interpret it,
Isaac multiverse, marathon, and
then you can go listen to our episode where I interview them, right? And then I talk about it every now and then in the show, even our multi-reality episode that we had. Yeah.
Multi-dimensional and all that episode. We talk about it a bit. He goes in like even more detail. So you can really get the gist of everything if you listen to all three. Yeah.
Because it's a crazy experience. And it's not happening so much anymore. They're more like flickers. Like I now I don't get the full episode anymore. It's like if I'm in the experience of it, it's almost like a flash or flicker in my brain. Just like when you hear nails on a chalkboard, that instant small amount of pain to like you're like, I just get a flash, or I call them flickers now. Yeah. But
by the time you guys are actually listening to this episode, I will already have released like that experiment that we had people send in their versions of what they see shadow figures as. So make sure to check that out, because I'm like super interested to like piece it all together and see what our listeners see as far as shadow figures go. It's gonna be kind of interesting, because of course I like went ahead and looked at them, but there's some that are similar and some that are different. So Hatman, there's definitely a couple of Hatman ones.
Yep. And with that, we'll catch your weirdos in the next one.
Yes.